darling, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. And today I have a walkthrough my verse map for this month. Well, actually, this is the one from last month. I'm continuing to work through the attributes of God. This is a principle that I get from the James Method Code Group. And this verse map list, and this attributes of God plan, verse map plan, is from James Method Co. And so I am all the way up to the fifth one or fourth, but I realized I did not, as I was doing this one, I realized I didn't walk through this one on my channel. And I know you guys have been enjoying these, so I thought it'd be great to come on here and go ahead and walk through this one. So I am working through the attribute of God's eminence. The verse that was picked for this one was Psalm 139:8. And we were considering and reading all of Psalm 139:7 through 10. This all came just beautifully around the same time that I was prepping to give a word study workshop at a retreat that I recently went to. And it was based on Psalm 139, which was beautiful because we worked through all of Psalm 139 over the weekend. I finished off with a word study in the last verses of Psalm 139. And I love that I was able to do this verse map as well. And then we were looking at God's eminence. I love when my personal study and, just all my studies come all together like that. It's such a wow God moment. So I really enjoyed digging into Psalm 139 all of the month of August, and then finishing off with that workshop just last week in September. So this is God's eminence. And so again, Psalm 139:8, the verse reads, "If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there." That is the NLT version, and the ESV reads, "If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." I also did a translation in the Spanish. If you didn't know, I attend a Hispanic church, so most of our services are in Spanish, but I am a translator, one of the translators that translates the services to English. So it's a mix of English and Spanish, I would say bilingual. And so sometimes looking at the verses in the language that I originally read and studied the Bible in really helps me kind of ground myself and gain a deeper understanding. Some of the verses that I picked out of here was heaven, and it was actually to heaven. And I also make my bed in Sheol, and behold. So the first one was to heaven, and that is Strong's Concordance H8064, and that is to heaven. This word in the Hebrew language means heavens or sky, as in the abode of God or atmosphere. The words to make, or not to, but make my bed is H3331, and this is to lay, to spread out, or to be laid. And H7585 is in Sheol. And Sheol is a word that is usually looked at as hell, but it actually really means grave in this context. And I think that's something that we can really take a look at because, so I have a note here that says Sheol is the Old Testament designation for the abode of the dead. And where do the dead abide? They abide in their grave, right? And so here we have underworld, grave, hell, pit, or Sheol. And I liked this verse from the zondervanacademic.com. It says, "We should understand the psalmist as speaking more figuratively, as once more suggesting the all-encompassing and inescapable presence of God." So when he says making his bed or going down into the grave or Sheol, into hell, right? What we're looking at is a figurative language in this verse. And I thought that was very important to note here because people might be like, well, why would the psalmist be making his bed in hell? This is more figuratively, like he first points up into the heavens. So if I go up to heaven, if I ascend there you are. Your presence reaches me there. And then if I descend down into the underworld or if I'm in my grave as the abode of the dead, God is there, right? His all-encompassing, inescapable presence is still reaches us there. Is basically a figurative language that he's using here. And then the last one is behold. I always love the word behold because it's kind of an announcement. And we talked about behold at the retreat, how it announces it. It's a way to captivate your eye, like pay attention. And it says, lo, though, if, or if. Okay, and so some of the context here, another thing that I loved is as well, along with doing the verse map on God's eminence in Psalm 139:8, I also did the context, obviously, for this verse, but I was also doing a character study, which I've already shared here, on David. So all together, like doing the verse map, doing the word study for the retreat, doing the character study, all of that together really helped me dig deep because it was all kind of connecting, and I love that. In context, David was the one that wrote this when it was 1040 BC, to whom psalm of prayer and praise to the Lord. Why? To praise, appeal, and meditate on God's all-knowing and all-present power. Some of the cross references that I used, I loved digging deep into, like Job 34:21 and 22 read, for his eyes are on the ways of man, and he sees all his steps. There is no gloom or deep darkness where evildoers may hide themselves. Just, again, God's eminence, right? It reaches. It's something that it's all encompassing, right? It takes over. Then Jonah 2:2 says, if I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me, out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. And I love that we see that verse again. And this right here was not figuratively, because we know that Jonah was in the belly of a fish, but this, he's saying the belly of Sheol, using it as grave, because usually you would think that man would have died. His grave would have been the belly of the whale if it wasn't because God rescued him from there. Then we have view of God. I have basically a quote here from Enduring Word, and it's by last name Clark. Thou art in heaven in thy glory, in hell in thy vindictive justice, and in all parts of the earth, water, space, or vacuity by thy omnipresence. Sorry, I kind of got tongue-tied there. Basically, you're in heaven in your glory, in hell in your vindictive justice, and in all parts of the earth, water, space, by your omnipresence, right? The ever-present God, and this was my takeaway on that, who knows all, is everywhere. He literally takes over everything, encompasses everything. In view of man, I looked at David, and Matthew Henry had a great quote here. It says, he, or David, specifies the most remote and distant places and counts upon meeting God in them. So no matter where we reach, right, our very high, our very low, there God reaches us. The all-present God is with me. There is nowhere I can escape from the Lord's presence. He is there. Those were my takeaways from that. In reflection, I put eminence, and then I put a definition to that because I wanted it really big. The idea that God is present in the world and in time and space, and that he is knowledge, perceivable, and graspable. And this term comes from the Latin word emanere, to dwell in and to remain. So the Lord's, or God's eminence, right, is the fact that he is present in the world today, in time and in space. He is the knowledge, he is perceivable, he is graspable, and all of this comes and derives from this Latin word, to dwell in and to remain. And then I had a short prayer here, and it says, Lord, I am thankful for your eminence. Sometimes when things get hard, it feels like it's a fight, like it's fight or flight, but I can leave it all in your hands because there is no situation you are not aware of and no place I can hide from your presence. I will trust you. as the art here, I just use a principle that I had in my stash. Again, I use a label up here at the top to add the attribute and also the verse, and that is a wrap. That is a wrap for God's eminence. I will be back soon with another verse map video where I'm going to be showing you my next one, which is God's omnipresence. And I love that all of these tie in so well together. I've been loving studying the attributes of God, and I hope you have enjoyed it as well. If you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing, hit the like button and notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I will link below my affiliate link for picking up the James Method verse map journal. Heads up, that is an affiliate link. Thank you so much for using it. And thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.